Hi guys. You know it's Inktober. You may know or you may not know that it's Inktober. But Inktober is very sentimental for me because I don't know, a few years ago when Periscope came out and I was using Periscope a lot to live stream and live streaming was brand new. There were some really magical communities and friendships I made there on Periscope that I will never ever forget. I'm getting goosebumps now. Relationships that I still have today. And it was a very magical time. And now I'm going to go off on that tangent right now. I won't go off on a tangent. I want to share my Inktober project with you that I did today because Inktober is in the month of October. People work in ink and they share all month long, like a daily drawing. And this is the first year that I wasn't participating at all. And it's that kind of thing where it's like, oh, it's day 5 and I didn't do a sketch. Oh, it's day 6. Here we are, day 13, right? No, day 14. So I was at Blick on 13th Street in Manhattan for work on Saturday. And I stopped in and they had like a little setup. I was so happy and touched near the checkout. They had like a little tiny kiosk and it said Inktober. And they had some special pens there. I'm going to show you in a minute what I just made. I made like a little deck of kind of like oracle cards with quotes on them. But I want to tell you about the supplies. So I used a Tombow watercolor marker. There's lots and lots more stories I could tell you about what happened that day, but like, yeah. Let's not go there right now. Brush tip watercolor marker, which means not waterproof, not like a Pitt pen that I recommend in my courses. This is watercolor, so it bleeds if you paint over it. You know, if you study with me, if you've studied with me, we use a lot of gouache, so we're usually using waterproof pens and markers because we're always watercoloring and gouaching over the markers. You can't do that with a Tombow unless you want it to bleed to create like a watercolor effect. Tombow has 2 tips. And I bought a Tombow when I was a fashion illustration student, you know, long ago, and it was black. Enjoyed it for a long time. But I usually recommend waterproof pens. Anyway, I got this off the kiosk at Blick, and they're great. In the past, like when my kids were really small, look, I got the Tombow imitation, like from Michaels. It's like a different brand. It's cheaper. Maybe the quality is not as good, but they're good. I'll show you real quick. I've used these a lot. The Artist Loft watercolor dual tip marker. You can see how it's kind of a knockoff. Maybe the quality is not as great, but they're pretty great. I love the brush tips, and you can see how dynamic the brush tips are and how varied they are. The other pen that I got while I was there at Blick was Uniball, which I've always loved Uniball. The problem with Uniball is I relied totally on them. It's a rollerball, waterproof, black ink pen that they keep changing their packaging. Granted, it's been 25 years, but they shouldn't do that because, you know, you go in and you want to get the pen that you rely on and suddenly you don't know what it looks like anymore, right? I also like this Uniball. And another great one is a Precise V5. But to be honest, because all these brands keep changing their wrappers, I literally have to go back and test everything to find out what's waterproof and what's not. Because this I knew was not waterproof. So I'm going to show you the sketches and then I'm going to show you the quotes. The sketches on the back of the cards have nothing to do with what's on the front. I did them all in like an hour because I was feeling inspired and I was playing because you know what? It's really important to play. It's a good vibe. It's a good way to meditate and manifest and all that good stuff. So, you know, I don't know what these are about. This is, yeah. And then I'm going to read the quotes just to see what I kind of just, everything that you see here is whatever spilled out. Now, what I'm thinking is to take these images and you see how the pen line is very bold from the brush pen? I think you're going back in with a super fine line, black ink, and It's amazing with these fine black pens how much fine detail you can get. I think it might be really fun to have an interplay of the thick black lines with really really fine black lines. But maybe not. Like here, look, you see how the brush pen goes from thick to thin just by applying pressure? So we're gonna go through them one more time. I didn't even wash my hair, I literally like just finished these, but I'm gonna share them with you. This one may be incomplete. You know what it reminded me of? Angie, what do you call that? Kawaii? Kawaii. Little twin stars. Any of you used to get like Hello Kitty and little twin stars? This reminds me of little twin stars.
Hello Kitty's not necessarily considered kawaii.
Really? Not?
Mm-mm.
Ask my 10-year-old.
Kawaii is like pink cheeks, really adorable kind of stuff.
Yeah, but what's more adorable than Hello Kitty?
Everything.
Oh, and there was another one called My Melody. Remember? Okay. So this card says, ask and you shall receive. Is this going to be backwards? Seriously? If it is, I'll just flip the video for sharing. The reason for these kind of graphic, this is how I started. You know, I didn't know how to draw till I was like 20. I always would do these very, what do you call them? Graphic. They just flow out of you. You know what I mean? They're meditations. They're channeled. I don't know what they are. They're just, they soothe, they calm, they energize. So I don't care what they are. Love yourself more. This one never ends. This one never ends. Pull it every 10 seconds. It's like even you, as much as you're resisting the world, is as much as you can love yourself more. Right? And we tend to resist. The one I started with clouds because it was don't limit your dream. I thought of that because I remember, you know, there's times in your life, maybe all the time in your life, where you're so busy thinking about what you think is possible, or maybe you secretly believe that if you ask for less, it's more likely that you'll get what you want. Does anyone do that? This one is like a permission ticket to dream without barriers, without limits, without figuring out the how. You know, literally, how far can you let your mind expand? And it's imagining properties and potential, because that's how you make new neural pathways. Open your mind, open possibility. You know, even affirmations can be a great way to grow those new, higher, expanded limits, or you know, to break down limits that you've been holding. We have so many subconscious, unconscious upper limits that are just beliefs that can be dispelled and expanded into new possibilities. This one's more botanical. What would love do? This is about being in any situation where you're all tied up and resisting and conflicted and anxious, and it's like, wait, how would love see this? How would God, how would Spirit, how would love see this? How could this situation be seen without conflict, without resistance? What's the easiest, most accepting way to view it? Because we are often fighting reality at the expense of our peace and things that we cannot change. I used to go to Al-Anon back when I was married to alcoholic, and it was like, you know, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. Period. Because you deserve peace. Be here now is another way to get peace. Unless you have like 5 toddlers jumping all over you. Because we are often future tripping or projecting the past onto the future, and often not available in our present. So this card's a reminder because the point is to shuffle these up and just pick them, or simply to meditate on these images. For me, graphic images like this, I guess some people call that like psychedelic. I don't know, because I always get confused. Is psychedelic like drug induced? I don't use drugs, so I'm like, I don't know. But for me, this is the drug. You know, images like this carry me away. They, like I said, they soothe, they energize, they calm. And even though they are static, when I look at something like this, it's ever changing. I see layers, I see directions and movements. Images like this put me into a state. And they're not representative, most of them. So that's another thing, right? When we do have the plant one, you may look and you may see your own thing. Maybe you see a star or a mosaic in here. Sorry, I keep looking over here, but the camera's over there. I'll confess that this one had a word on it and I covered it up. What is your body saying? Why this card? We can often become, men and women, in our social conditioning and programming, very disconnected from our bodies. Even when we think we're quite connected, there's like so much more connected we could be. Yeah, I think that goes as far back as like raising your hand to pee at school. Like, what is your body saying? In situations where you're unsure, anxious, worried, even happy, whatever, you know what you're thinking, you know what you're feeling, but if you really tune into your body, you'll be able to locate where you're feeling the feeling. And when you start making that location, it helps you separate, become the witness to the feeling. And so in this way, you can become much more, find your body to be a much more reliable source of your truth. And notice your emotions and notice what you need and how to soothe yourself, and just really be aware of how you're responding to things so that you can care for yourself. So I like that one. So like I said, the images have nothing to do with what's on the backs. This started out as an infinity symbol and turned it into eyes. It's kind of both. And this one says, feed your mind and body well. We're all pretty aware about nutrition, but are we aware also about what we're letting in here? Song lyrics, television shows. Oh, my mother said something so poignant today. We were in a crowd and watching a lot of people. We live in kind of a small town. She was like, oh my gosh. Like, there aren't a lot of people walking around in our town, but we were in a crowded area at a store. And we were just sitting, having tea and watching the people. She's like, I love watching the people. And then she's like, wow, I forgot what, you know, sometimes you watch so much television, you forget what real people look like. And that was so profound to me because it's so true. You know, when we watch so much mass media, it becomes harder and harder to accept our own realities, our homes, our bodies, our faces. It's like very strange kind of programming. So, you know, put on a filter, take good care, pay attention to what you're putting in your mind, what beliefs you're letting in, and what self-talk is going on in there. And you know what I love as far as nutrition and thought go, is people often talk about like no carbs, or, you know, stop doing this, stop doing that. How about this? I love the idea of, instead of depriving or denying yourself of something, just add more of the good thing. Instead of like, stop eating chocolate. Well, eat all the chocolate you want, but eat more spinach. More spinach, more spinach. So that can mean maybe you're still watching your favorite TV show, but then you've added some amazing book to your life that's truly nourishing your mind and spirit. So that's kind of the message for this card. Here's another image that can say whatever you want to. It says, observe, allow, accept. And honestly, I could have stopped there. It's about being a witness of your life, witness of the world, witness of what's going on. Instead of being like all active and like superhero mode, taking the moment to just witness, observe. And the thing is, the reason receive works, I just love receive, because receive, I noticed a few years ago, is like a very novel, shocking, overwhelmingly new word to me to really embody and put into action. So, you know, especially as a mom, little kids, and the way we're raised and stuff, it's like give, 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 do. Now, receive. Very feminine energy. And when you observe, allow, and accept, you become a clear channel for receiving. Whereas when you're resisting and fighting and in conflict and anxiety and tension, you're kind of clogged up. So it's kind of like a math equation. Observe, allow, accept, receive. Receive the good. That is yours. I don't know. I love that these don't have tops or bottoms. You are safe, supported, guided. How often do you let yourself soak in this concept? You may not even believe it. Could you believe it for 1 minute? Could you believe it for 2 minutes? 30 seconds? 1 minute? Amazing thing that's helped me in life is noticing that if I can do something for a few seconds, I learned this in doing A Course in Miracles, you start to notice, wow, if I can feel that belief for 20 seconds, then I can feel it for 30, and then I can feel it for a minute, and then I can feel it. When you really let yourself believe and you're supported and that everything is ultimately working out in your favor because you are guided and supported by something bigger than you, when you even just embody these energies of safety, support, you move differently. You feel the whole energy in the whole vibration of your body changes. The decisions you make change. What you think is possible changes. And you soften when you don't feel at risk. And it's amazing. You know, as we get older, it's like so many things you lived through that you were sure that you wouldn't. And you do, and you do, and you do, and you do, and you do. Not that it's always easy, but here you are in this moment, watching this video, sitting on a chair, breathing, probably not freezing. You know, you're blessed right now in this moment. So what if whatever it is, it's on your mind right now, what if you could fully trust that it's in your best interest? Everything is leading you toward what you want, even when it doesn't seem like it is. Because you couldn't really get there without learning the things you need to learn and experiencing the things you need to experience and being your fullest self. Ta-da! Forgive yourself. Accept yourself. Now, I had written it and it like didn't take up the whole card, so I added to it in order to create a more balanced composition. I confess. But I don't know if any of you study A Course in Miracles. The word forgive is a really hard word for a lot of people, and I can't remember anymore what it used to mean to me, but I really got a new definition of it from A Course in Miracles, and it becomes the most beautiful thing in the world. So forgiveness never being, you know, even if you think that it's something that you dole out to people, it starts to make you feel like you have to be superior and that you're giving them something, and then you get this inequality thing again, which becomes a judgment, which never feels good. Yeah? So Forgiveness isn't that. Forgiveness is like, remember how I said, what if you could believe that for a second? 2 seconds, 30, a minute, a day? A day. Forgiveness is that moment, that release, that utter release. I think I'm quoting not Course in Miracles, but actually a teacher, Max Ryan, when he said, I would always remember him saying, forgive the whole world. And that phrase, every time I hear that phrase, I feel that utter release. All the things you're piling up and carrying, the politics, the wars, the weather, the climate change, your own health, your relationships, your job, the pressure, the worry, a moment of forgiveness is a total reset, total release, total receptivity, a zero, a clear zero moment. You may experience bliss with the concept of forgiveness. And forgiveness is truly so many things in our life, probably all of them, when we think, because of projection as well, we think we haven't forgiven someone. But when you point a finger, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. This is the foreshortening is making this really strong. Deep down, you are probably not forgiving yourself for the role you played in that situation. Even if you were totally innocent, which is the hardest one. Because you say, I was innocent. Yeah, you're always innocent. Like, but if you're like me, the most bitter poison that I had was how I was secretly always blaming myself for every unfortunate thing that happened to me. And recently I find myself coming back again and again with every challenge that I reach. I say, all the suffering is here. And I've been through physical sufferings, but no, it's here because physical suffering is like pass quick. And the worst thing about anything that has ever happened to me has always been how I talked to myself about it, what I believed about myself because of it, and how I treated myself as a result of how some external person, situation, or institution treated me. And it is not pretty. And those are the worst things that ever happened to me. Which brings us back to, I think it was the first card, which was love yourself more. So anyways, it's getting long, but I'm very moved, and I just created these, so I'm like super excited. Okay. By the way, if you want to know what art supplies I use, I have the wrappers for those. Yeah. The wrapper for the paper that I used. It's like those Zen, I think it's called Zen Tangle cards or something. This one came to mind. This is one of the first ones I did. Be still and know. In fact, I think this is all reverse order of how I worked. And I think that's from the Bible, right? Be still and know that I am God. I am spirit. I am. Be still and know that I am. Period. And that can refer to meditation, getting quiet, getting still, and just being, because all your answers are in there. Your peace is in there. Source of love is in there. And we can get very, very busy. Be still. And know. And that's hard for me to say, because probably my best way to know is to dance. This one started out as some kind of like water waves, but it turned into something else. These are so inspired by African, Dutch wax prints, African prints. Lead with your heart. I plan to use these in my life coaching clients, but that's what these are for. But anyway, I wouldn't normally read them all through like a book like this, but hey, lead with your heart. We tend to, and especially when we're fearful, right? faced with challenge, we try to figure it out here, we try to figure it out here, we try to figure it out here, and we get more and more up here and up here. And especially even for women, I believe, based on things research I've been doing, is, you know, of the divine masculine energy. It's more mental, but a woman's more heart. Oh, that doesn't sound good. I take that back. Let's just say, I had put a quote on Facebook today from Muji, and it said, put your mind into your heart. It should not operate independently. And seriously becoming heart-centered again after the way we've grown up is a journey. For sure. Like, not for the faint of heart. It's the best journey to be on, and it's going to be your compass, your body and your heart, the things that you were kind of shamed for following. At least that was my experience. You know, it was all about how smart and how strong are you. Your softness and your love are not as soft as you think. This one is kind of a pentacles vibe. Coins, circles. Go inside yourself. Riches abound. And then there's another one where I added riches abound because it made a better composition on the page. It's about going inside. Hermit card, you know, that time spent alone in stillness and quiet, or it doesn't even have to be that quiet. You can play your favorite music, but setting aside the time and the space to go inside and have an intimate, you thought you had an intimate relationship with yourself? More intimate. You thought you had an intimate relationship with your lover, your spouse? More. If you want more out there in those other relationships and things, do it here first. You want more money? Do it here first. Riches abound inside. You have everything you need inside. And that goes against everything anyone ever told you. And I guess there's a good reason why it's like that. And sometimes it's really hard to trust in the face of this. You feel that you should be doing everything outward, but this is a reminder to go inside. That's all. And you will be refreshed. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I didn't realize this one moves. It spirals. You see that? How it's like a wheel. This is kind of a manifestation and personal empowerment card. Choose, decide, declare. No. I choose blank. I learned this from Coach Amanda Francis. I decide blank. I declare blank. Fill in the blanks. Get your journal out and start declaring, start deciding, start knowing. I know blank. Oh yeah. You know more than you think you do, but how often do we finish those sentences? How often do we fill in those blanks? How often do we ask ourselves, your word is your wand, says Florence Scovel Shinn. Love that. We got 4 more. It's a woman, a goddess. Just a reminder, there is nothing to fear. Fear rules us, and reins us in, and holds us back. Again, this is something where if you can just absorb this vibration for 30 seconds, if you can start to make that much of a shift, your whole life will begin to change. Because again, you'll have that realization that if you can do that for 30 seconds, this is huge. This is huge realization. Think of your whole life and all the things you've been afraid of. And look where you are right now watching this video. and how many fears were illusions and how much they held you back. I don't know. I know sometimes I think I talk too much. Just read it. Okay. What is this one? Oh, I didn't realize that this picture was on this quote. It's a moon and stars. Reminder, you are loved beyond measure. Hopefully you know this because you know you love yourself beyond measure. If you're not there yet, start imagining and knowing, non-negotiably, without a doubt, you are loved beyond measure by a force beyond yourself. The force that made you, that created you. The snake eating its own tail, which I discovered on the Egyptian tarot deck. All is well. How often do you allow yourself to accept all is well now? Stop projecting into the future. Stop ruminating on the past. Stop fantasizing about what can go wrong. Soak in this. Forget about your bubble bath. This. Finally. This is when you're this is for when you're being really triggered by a situation, really caught up in emotion, anxiety. What memories come up? Allow yourself, when you're, remember the other card where we said, locate an emotion in your body? When you do, I learned this from my best friend, and she's a therapist, Christy Liata. She'll have you find where are you feeling the emotion when you're getting upset. Find out where it is in your body, and then you put your hand on that place. So you're really, really alerting, letting it know you're there and you're aware of it. And then to go into the inner child and really try to remember, when was the first time you felt like that? And this is about allowing those memories to come up, because we get fearful that they will, we don't want them to come up. But the situation, if we believe that without a doubt we are guided and supported and loved, then that feeling is calling up to be healed, to be looked at, to be conversed with. So, and I'm not a therapist. I'm just an art teacher and a designer. And this is my Inktober project. I didn't count them. I'll count them later. I do have Oracle decks available, original inspiration cards that I created all this year. 3 decks available. Feminfinity, the Muse Sings, and the Goddess Seeds. They're all available. I'll link them around this video. If you don't see something linked, just DM or comment. But you can also go to lauravolpentesta.com or fashionillustrationtribe.com. I also work with people to create their own private decks, either for mass production that they can market online, or even an individual handmade deck that they can use in their own readings or with clients or personal readings or whatever. So you can contact me about that too. I also coach through life coach on creativity through private readings and one-on-one coaching for fashion design studies and art and illustration. So you can contact me about any of that. And if you'd like to contribute to my channel just as a contribution, it's paypal.me/fashion illustration. I'm Laura Volpentesta. I hope you enjoyed my Inktober project. Have a beautiful day. Bye.